Hello and welcome to another episode of CryptoTV. Happy 2024. I'm Ornella Hernandez and I'm here to remind you that the price of Bitcoin surpassed the $45,000 mark this week. Yay! And today we'll see what that means. So the last time BTC traded above 45,000 was in April of 2022. And this rise in the first few weeks of January 2024 coincides with the possible approval of a Bitcoin spot exchange traded fund, or ETF, in the United States in the coming days. What a great start to the new year, folks. Bitcoin rose rapidly from a price of $42K on January 1st, and it rose 170% in the last year. Let's see how it's doing right now. This is above any price reached in 2023, and it marks a significant new yearly high for the asset just days into the new year. As BTC rises, the market is preparing for possibly the biggest news event of the year. This is a decision that has implications for the entire crypto market and the financial world at large. I'm talking about the approval or denial of one or more of the 14 pending applications for a Bitcoin spot exchange traded fund product by the regulator, the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission in the US. So on every cryptocurrency investor's mind right now is the deadline. That date is January 10. By then, we'll know whether or not the regulator will approve the joint ARK Invest and 21 shares ETF proposal. Let me tell you a little bit more about this proposal. The investment firms 21 shares and ARK Invest want US investors to gain exposure to cryptocurrencies through spot Bitcoin ETFs, which they say is one of the most safe and most reliable ways to invest in Bitcoin, and that there is a clear need for it, they wrote in a blog post. Now, in that same 21 shares post, we also read that the CEO and co-founders of 21 shares, Hani Rashwan, said, Bitcoin has proven its value as an investable asset and a disruptive technology. This affirms the need for a Bitcoin spot ETF in the US. And then Cathie Wood, the CEO of ARK Invest, also wrote that we believe Bitcoin's long-term opportunity as a risk-off asset and a flight to safety for investors during periods when macroeconomic uncertainty is strengthening. And the goal is for Bitcoin to achieve institutional adoption. Well, indeed, if this is approved, it would be significant because it would be one of the first Bitcoin ETFs in the world. There are already Bitcoin futures ETFs, but not spot ETFs. But to be honest, guys, I don't know if it'll be approved this month. What do you think? There's just so much hope around this and hype around it, and everyone's so sure about these ETFs getting approved. Of course, I would love to see it approved as much as you, but there is still the possibility that it'll be rejected again, or that the decision will be delayed. It's just that the US government and the banks have made it clear that they don't want it to happen, seeing as they love to sue everyone and their mother if they are related to crypto. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens next week. If the BTC ETF is approved, this will surely impact the price of Bitcoin. Some investors say that Bitcoin will not experience a big rally on the day of approval and that there will be a rapid downturn in BTC's price, so a possible correction in the market. Others believe that the green light will open the floodgates for institutional investment capital and that Bitcoin will never be the same as a result. Commentator Scott Melker, for example, said on X that Bitcoin is coming out of a month of consolidation and that it could go as high as $54,000 in the days following the possible SEC approval. So he is very optimistic. And hey, anything is possible, especially in the world of crypto. And in 2024, it is poised to be a significant year in every aspect because there is another big event coming up soon in just 4 months, and that is the next Bitcoin halving. This is an event that happens every 4 years, and its goal is to decrease the number of new coins entering the Bitcoin blockchain. So this will affect the miners who have been eagerly awaiting for April to arrive, and historically, halving events have driven Bitcoin's price to all new time highs. And that's what people want, because let's be honest here, people just care about the price. Yes, of course, we all want Web3 consumer products, but only if Bitcoin and Ethereum and altcoins prices are going up. The bear market was great to double down on tech and to weed out the players who didn't truly care, but let's face it, we need investment, capital, and high prices if we want to see more useful Web3 consumer products. So let's pray for this bull market in these coming months, starting with Bitcoin. I think it's about time that more and more people see BTC as digital gold and an inflation-proof asset that is a store of value in tough economic times. And you know what else could be considered digital gold, or more like IP gold? That is Disney's intellectual property. Yes, I'm talking about Disney, like Mickey Mouse and Princess Ariel and all of your other favorite Disney characters that have been around for decades. They have certainly proven to withstand economic times because kids still love them. And now I bring this up because kids aren't the only ones who love Disney. On January 1st, 2024, a version of Mickey featured in the 1928 short film Steamboat Willie became publicly available after its copyright reached its limit. Steamboat Willie was the first publicly distributed appearance of Mickey Mouse. After almost a century, Disney's claim to this version of the character expired because United States law only allows for copyright to be held for 95 years. And of course, NFT degens had to hop on this. Following the copyright expiration, 3 NFT collections related to Steamboat Willie started trending on OpenSea NFT marketplace. The NFT collection entitled Steamboat Willie has achieved nearly 490 ETH in trading volume, so that's over $1 million, and another collection is right behind it. And hey, it's above blue chip collections like Azuki and Pudgy Penguins in the past few days. Now let's go into this more. Just because the copyright expired doesn't mean that the people making these NFTs own it or that their work is affiliated with Disney. It's not. The trademark and brand, which are separate from the character, is actually still private. So basically, people can create and distribute new artistic works and digital assets based on this iconic character without infringing on copyright laws, but Mickey Mouse as a character remains under copyright, and the trademark is still owned by Disney, allowing the company to maintain some control over the use of the character. In a statement to CNN, a Disney spokesperson said that the company will continue to protect their rights in the modern versions of Mickey Mouse and other works that remain subject to copyright. We will work to safeguard against consumer confusion caused by unauthorized uses of Mickey and our other iconic characters. This just goes to show how the concept of intellectual property is fundamental to NFTs and to artwork. And when a work enters the public domain, it means that the public owns it, not an individual author or artist. Back in December, I spoke to my friend Rahim Matab on Web3 Talks, who first told me about the expiration of Steamboat Willie's copyright coming up.
Mickey Mouse is a $15 billion IP character. And just to give you an idea of how crazy this world is, Disney has so much power for 3 periods in a row, which is, I believe, in the 1980s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
They were able to change the copyright law to make sure that Mickey Mouse remains with Disney.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And this has happened because, like, in 1924, when Mickey Mouse was created, the act kept the particular asset for about, I believe, 50 years.
Okay.
But every time before the period would end, they would end up extending the creative
license.
Creative license around it. January 1st, 2024, Mickey Mouse is supposed to go again in public domain. And this is actually I actually found this out yesterday. This is actually one of the first times.
You want to get it?
This is actually one of the first times in human history they're actually not fighting it. They're actually perhaps letting it go in public domain.
If you haven't yet seen this full episode with Rahim Mata, please make sure to watch the interview. The link is in the description below, and make sure to check out other episodes of Web3 Talks as well. And in the meantime, please welcome a special guest on CryptoTV who will talk more about NFT art and Solana. Our special guest on CryptoTV today is Larisa Barbu, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Exchange.art, an NFT marketplace. How are you, Larisa? Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Ornella. Thanks a lot for having me. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, so you are joining us via Zoom from London. Tell me about the new year so far. Happy 2024. How has it been?
Happy New Year to you and your audience. It's been an explosive start of the year following a huge increase of artists and collectors that we have seen in December 2023. So we're all super excited, all hands on deck to push Exchange.art as far as possible in 2024.
Okay, amazing. So explosive, how so? You say that there's an influx in artists. What about revenue? Like what was going on in December that really pushed the business?
So December had a lot of good signs, and the way I look at it is a bit like a Matryoshka doll, right? So the NFT market exists in a bigger crypto market, which exists in a bigger global kind of scene.
Yeah.
And over Q3 and Q4, we have started to see signs that interest rates might start to drop in 2024. We have started to see positive sentiment around approval of ETFs in the crypto environment. And then a few liquidity events that happened with notable Solana projects in December. They all kind of gathered around and helped push the liquidity into the NFT art sector. So we have seen $1.8 million in sales in December, which is double than what our main Ethereum competitor managed to do in December. So I think this is great, and we have seen with this an impressive amount of positive feedback that came regarding the seamless experience that they had on Solana and with Exchange.art compared to what they're typically used to on Ethereum.
Okay, so tell me who exactly are your competitors and why Exchange.art differentiates itself from them.
So I think Solana helped us as the network, the way it is built, it helped us quite a lot deliver a seamless experience for users. As we know, Ethereum as a network is a bit slower than Solana, and it has a different price point for gas. Whereas on Solana, we're able to build an instant experience for users and for a fraction of the cost. Those were a few of the main features of the chain that helped us build the kind of experience that users are used to in a Web2 world compared to what they are typically used to in a Web3 Ethereum world.
Okay, but what about the marketplaces themselves? Like, do you consider OpenSea a competitor or Nifty Gateway, for example?
So there is little one-of-one art volume, I believe, on OpenSea being traded. And Nifty Gateway is mostly focused on generative art. Exchange.art is focused on one-of-ones and editions. But we do have a sister company on Solana called Code Canvas that can be considered a competitor of Nifty Gateway.
Oh, okay. So then would you attribute maybe this recent success to, I don't know, a renewed enthusiasm in the NFT space? Like, what's going on? Why are people like seeming to be so excited about it again?
So I believe that we have seen a very long bear market. So 2022 and 2023 have been really long and painful. And especially for artists that count on making these sales to support themselves, it's been a really tough 2023. With the advent of a few liquidity events on Solana, like the airdrops that we have seen in December, I believe artists and collectors started to consider more cost-efficient blockchains to realize pretty much the same thing that they were doing on Ethereum. And as soon as they have seen how it works and they've experienced it, it looks a lot like they are here to stay around.
Yeah. So yeah, Solana has definitely also experienced a big resurgence, and I think it's good. Maybe gives a little more, gives Ethereum a run for its money and other cryptocurrencies out there. Are you a big Solana fan, like personally yourself?
I mean, we started Exchange.art on Solana from the very beginning, more than 2 years ago, because we have seen the difference from back then, and we have seen the difference in the technology, and we figured out how the technology will shape and will change in time. So I have been a Solana fan since the very beginning, like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, okay. How did you get into the space in the first place? Were you always in art?
I have always been in tech, actually. And the art came more like an extension of that.
Okay, talk to me a little bit more about that background then and how it led into creating a Solana marketplace, NFT marketplace.
So I have been in cryptocurrency since 2016 when I actually started with Ethereum as my first cryptocurrency that I owned.
Me too, actually.
It was at the very beginning, and that's when I learned about this technology. And then in 2021, we have started Exchange.art with a view of bringing more artists into the space. What was prohibitive back then and still is today on Ethereum is the cost of transactions. And probably something around 80 or 90% of the world's population lives in what we call emerging markets. Between 80 and 90% of the population of the globe can't really afford a mistake that costs them tens or hundreds of dollars. So Solana can really help us bring this sort of avenue and bring this sort of opportunities to all those countries and communities that can't really afford to try to make a living with their art on Ethereum. And it's not only about emerging countries, but if we think about UK where I live, or US, or any other developing country, we have seen that artists are incredibly grateful for what we offer and the opportunities that open to them with Solana in this time span. So the price difference really makes a difference. It's a cost of doing business at the end of the day for artists.
What about for you personally, though? Are there any categories of art that interest you the most? Like, is it animations? Is it one-on-one, you said? Like, what is it that you love about art?
What I have seen on Exchange.art in the past 2 years is that each kind of category has its time, and they kind of switch as the time goes by. I love photography quite a lot, but even if photography may be my kind of favorite category, I have seen amazing pixel art, for example. I have seen amazing illustrations and animations. So there is a lot for everyone. And taste can change in time, and interest can change as well, especially because it's the type of space where artists are using everything that they have to create something new, to push the boundaries of what can be done using the blockchain and the platform and all the other technologies that they have access to. And intertwining this with their talent and creativity, we are surprised so many times about how artists start to use these technologies and what their output is. So, apologies. So yes, photography is doing great at the moment, and I love photography, but I think there is something for everyone on Exchange.art.
Yeah. Do you think that digital art or NFT art could ever replace physical art?
Interesting question. I don't think it's about replacement. I think it's about complementary, and I think it's again about taste. Now we have in the traditional art world, there are particular people that really love that sort of art, and there are subcategories and trends that have been built in hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I just think it's different, and they can be complementary, and they appeal to different kind of personalities and characters at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think about the traditional auction houses like Sotheby's and Christie's and Phillips getting into the space? Sotheby's recently had its first Bitcoin ordinals auction, which did pretty well. What do you think about these large auction houses getting into the space?
I'm really loving the attention that they bring to the space. Of course, it's not trivial that someone like Sotheby's and Christie's, having hundreds of years of tradition and relationships and branding behind them, to come to such a new and innovative space as NFTs and blockchain. So I really love the attention that they are bringing to the space, and I hope we can collaborate at some point.
Yeah, all right. And so what do you think are the main issues that the NFT world and the digital art world is solving from the more traditional market? Like, what are the things that you're hoping to change and to solve?
So I think one of the main kind of changes, if it can be called like that, is the provenance. We have known that establishing provenance in the traditional art world is an expensive and complicated affair, and oftentimes it's fairly empirical, which I think on our side of the world it's a lot easier to establish, given that we follow transactions and wallets and that sort of a bit technical stuff. But we have made this easy on Exchange.art. There is a section for each NFT where you can kind of check the provenance and check the whole history of each particular piece. So I think this is one of the main advantages that crypto brings to the traditional art world. There are a lot of nuances, of course, and we may need a lot more time to discuss about nuances, but I would stick to this as being the main improvement point.
Okay, so then given all that, and like you said before, that you would love to eventually even collaborate with auction houses, what do you think is the best way for the traditional art world and the digital art world to collaborate, to converge forward?
I mean, it depends from which traditional art world entity we are talking about, because each of them have their own identity and culture and vision about how to go forward. So I don't think it's one size fits it all. I think it's a matter of discussing and finding out what works for each of us.
Yeah, okay. And so do you have any predictions or things that you would like to see for this year in 2024 when it comes to that collaboration or that convergence of artists, both traditional and digital?
I think what we will see is an increase in one-of-one and editions market. NFTs have had a pretty terrible branding due to PFPs and Bored Apes and everything else that media kind of converged to and published again and again.
Why is that so terrible?
I have seen last year a lot more signs that independent artists are starting to consider NFTs as another way of making a living, another revenue stream, especially because they are used to being gate kept in the traditional art world. And I'm talking about galleries. It's really hard for an artist to get into a gallery, and that's pretty much the main distribution point for an artist. So it seems a lot like artists are starting to realize that they have a free global audience that they can tap into if they are giving themselves the chance. So I'm looking at the 2024 where we'll see more artists coming into the space. The technology is becoming more and more user-friendly. And that's one of our goals at Exchange.art, to remove as many barriers as possible and make the experience as seamless as possible, so a user doesn't need to know technical stuff in order to create and trade their artwork and build an audience for themselves. So I'm looking at a really positive 2024 year for us. And I think we will also see more interest from a collector side as well, because I'm seeing digital frame companies pushing more the space and being more public about how easy it is to display artwork, digital artwork, on the screens, and all the advantages of maybe changing the artwork with your mood, or with the or with any day of changing, being able to change the artwork any day with pretty much seamless effort, right? So we are seeing points around us that make us understand that I think 2024 and 2025 will be really good years for growth in the space.
Okay, amazing. I saw something about the screens that change images with your mood. That sounds interesting.
There is a lot that's being done out there, but even if you look, it's really kind of normal screens. Like if we are looking at Mural by Netgear, for example, the fact that you can change and have multiple NFTs or artworks on your screen without having to physically store the frames somewhere, like you do with a traditional painting, and just, with a swipe of a hand, you can change the artwork. I think that's amazing. I mean, starting with the basics.
Definitely. And you said that PFPs are terrible. Why? Why don't you like them?
It's not that I don't like them. And I used PFPs in the past for my social platforms. It's just that they had a terrible branding from the media side. And I'm talking particularly about Bored Apes and the punks. They have been kind of at the forefront of media despite positive things happening behind them with other PFP projects and with one-of-ones and editions. So that's why I'm saying they had a terrible branding for some time, and that kind of prohibited a lot of artists that really they really wanted to stay away because they thought it will impact their branding being associated with NFTs, because NFTs for most of the mainstream public means PFPs. So while we see this sort of news kind of going away and we are seeing more positive news from bubbling up from what's going on behind Bored Apes and this sort of PFP projects, I think that's why that's what I was actually hinting towards.
Okay. And so what NFTs do you have? Which collections are your favorite?
I mean, most of my NFTs are one-of-ones and editions, because I live between these artists and I really love their artworks. I do also have a few generative pieces that have been sold on Code Canvas. It's pretty much, I sticked around Solana for the past 2 years.
Okay. And we're almost running out of time. So last question, any advice that you have for NFT and digital artists out there?
Yes, give yourself, have courage. 2024 is the year where you owe to yourself to have courage and try something new if you haven't tried yet. There is a technology and a world waiting for you to embrace it and see what you can make of it. So I think that would be the main advice.
Have courage. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Larisa.
Thank you, Ornella, for having me.
In the crypto market, BTC's price is at $43,356. Ether is trading at $2,236 today. Sol is down right now just under $100. And Aptos is trading green with a current price of $10.59.
That is all for today. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to give this video a like and check out other coverage on Web3 TV. See you guys later.